Welcome to Good Service.
Folks, we are. I'm just too excited right now. I'm too excited. Hold on. Let me gather myself.
Yeah.
Folks, welcome to Good Service.
Hey.
We are your hosts, Ben.
And Kevin.
And we have some very, very amazing people joining us today. Our first guests on Good Service. There's so much to talk about, but we'll get into it as in orderly fashion. First of all, we want to introduce you guys. Folks, we have Ellen Kim. Vincent, I call you Vincent Fable, bro. Laksamana.
She thought my last name was Fable for the first 3 months that we were dating.
I still have you on my phone as Vincent Fable. We have Ellen Kim and Vincent Laksamana in the pod today. And we are, as you guys have seen, we have been, well, maybe they haven't seen because we haven't figured out our order yet. Maybe this is episode 2. I don't know. Anyway, we said we were going to talk about it. We're just trying to record a bunch. And you know what I love about this, man? This is how raw this is because we're not trying to fake the funk over here.
Yep.
Our setup changes every single time.
Yep, episode 45.
Hey! Hopefully we get there. We're going to get there.
We don't release it till
This
later.
is the season finale.
This is so... yes. So welcome to season 3. No, dude, it's so real, gritty, and raw, and that's why I love about it. And you know what? And I actually think that's the beauty of this. Yeah. We're not trying to be this like super highly produced. We got, bro, look at our rig setup is crazy right now. We got lights on chairs.
Yep.
You guys can't see that. I'll do some BTS of that.
Yep.
So this is a real passion that is ignited by something that is very much bigger than anyone here. And we'll get into what that means. But like, yeah, dude, like these two folks that are joining us today as our first guests, God has been doing an amazing work in both of y'all individually and together as husband and wife.
Amen.
And as amazing creatives and as geniuses in your own right. And I have such a profound and deep respect and love for both of you guys. Vincent, I haven't known you for very long. Ellen, I've known for a long time, but I haven't really known her until like, I don't know, the past couple of years.
Yeah.
Like where you came on the Kindra's podcast.
Yes.
Which I, to this day, still say that was my favorite episode because everyone asked me that, what was your favorite episode? I'm like,
Wow.
The Ellen Kim one. Because that one was the one where I was like, whoa, I didn't know what was going to happen. And it really went to a place where it was like,
Wow.
super deep, super real and raw. But I'm like, dude, it's just because it was you.
That's right.
So Ellen and I, though, I probably first met you in 2004 or 5 or something like that.
I just remember watching your broom piece. I was like,
My broom piece.
oh my gosh,
Yeah.
superstar.
So I don't know what that is.
In your denim.
Yes.
We'll edit
denim,
it.
right?
Oh,
Put it
okay.
in the corner.
This is the dancer side.
Yeah.
This is the hat side. This is the hat side. Hat dancer side. The hair and non-dancer side. But amazingly freaking gifted and talented and amazing people. Anyway.
But Ben has a head of hair
I do.
that is lush.
People think I'm bald, dude.
Yeah, look at that head of hair,
Dude,
y'all.
I just like wearing hats.
Look at that.
The grays are coming in hot though, but I'm learning to embrace it. But why did I take off my hat right now?
To prove.
That I have hair?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I have hair. Thank God. Like, Lord, please don't let me go bald.
This is an unscripted podcast.
This is super unscripted.
Yes.
Super unscripted. And we are literally praying for every episode. Like, Lord, what are we talking about today? Kevin and I recorded an episode earlier today. And so what I love about Kevin, he's a very organized guy. He's a very like, if we're going to do something, let's have a plan. Let's have like this spreadsheet. Let's have like these things that we can just like boom, 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 check off. And I'm like sick, but I'm kind of like a flow guy. But both are needed. And that's how I feel like you guys are. I can't wait to talk about your guys' flow and dynamic of how it all works.
Me
but
too.
the beauty of all this is God is bringing every one of us together.
Yes.
And
Amen.
Yep.
if God wants to accomplish something, he knows that, okay, I'm going to bring some very uniquely gifted people, but like people are going to complement one another. Like what you are lacking in, this other person's going to be really strong in, and whatever that person is lacking in, this other person's going to be really strong in, and then it just keeps going around in this circular thing. And we'll get into what we're over here building now. But so that's what this is, and I'm so excited that y'all are our first guests because it only makes sense.
It does.
And you guys will understand why, because we're going to talk about what the freak we're doing over here, or what we think we're doing, what we think God is doing. So you guys introduce yourselves. Ellen, ladies first.
Ay, chamba.
Let the folks know what you do. And if you are too humble, I'm going to interject and I'm going to just fill in those gaps. But
Oh, you're so kind.
Ellen Kim.
Hi, my name is Ellen Kim. Can you hear me? Hi, I'm Ellen Kim, and I am a mother, a wife, a friend, creative director, choreographer, movement coach. Been in this industry for a minute, and in a pace where I'm starting to really understand the purpose of why my creativity exists, and that is why I'm with these amazing people and I'm married to this amazing man, and I can't wait to just dive into that more.
That was pretty good. I'm going to fill in some gaps later, but go. Let's keep it going.
No, I got questions, okay? Because for me, our relationship is new. We all met literally at the end of last year for a second, and mostly this year, So I actually don't know, when did you decide that dance was going to be something that you continue to carry on with you?
Well, in the beginning years, I'll make this short because I know you got your intro.
Yeah, we got to get this guy in here too. How about let's put a pin in that? Because I want Vincent to just let's get the intros out the way so we can get into the meat.
Let's go.
Let's get the intros out the way so we can get into the meat. Yeah.
All right. Hello. I'm Vincent Laksamana, and very nervous. I don't speak often.
Really?
Though you just lead a company, but keep going.
I'm like you're a liar.
I'm like so I'm a super introverted artist, singer, husband, stepfather, and leader of a consulting business. So I work in strategy for social media and do analytics, and lead an amazing team of people. And that's me.
He is not introverted, okay?
See, like, okay.
Yeah, I thought also you're a singer and...
I am a singer. Yes.
Here's the thing.
That's why we call you Vincent Fable.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can find him on Spotify.
Yes. And I think what we're seeing right now, what we're witnessing and you guys are witnessing is an introverted thing that he's talking about is just speaking and not in such a consulting way or in just a creative way.
For sure.
So what we're seeing right now is breaking some
Yeah, we're gonna break you out, bro.
Yeah, we're gonna break you
We're
out.
gonna break you out. We're gonna break you out.
So this is wonderful.
Yes, I love your humility, Vincent. It's freaking encouraging and all, but man, you are a gifted, talented man, and I'm inspired by you more and more every time I hang out with you.
Wow, thank you.
So, here we go. Intros out the way. Well, Kevin, you had a question for Ellen.
Yes, now going back, sorry. I did this out of turn, but I wanted to know more about like that moment where you're like, okay, cool, dance is it. And this is what I'm going to do. Like, when was this?
Okay, good question. Let me see. When I was a kid to like 8, I remember teaching my grandfather Maharabaji, the Running Man. And then, and I just remember he lived in downtown LA and in the apartment, he was just doing the Running Man. And at that time, it gave me so much joy of just teaching dance. And then seeing the joy and Maharabaji doing it, so, it's just someone doing it as well. Maharabaji being that person.
Harabaji means grandfather in Korean. For those who are not Korean and don't speak it, but keep going.
My apologies. You're just gonna hear it. Like crazy.
That's why I love her.
Thank you.
Let's go.
Then from 8 to then, I was in. I'm just gonna go so deep. 8 to 8 to 15, I was in a very physical abusive relationship with my stepfather. So then dance became like my crutch. Like I had to go after school because I didn't want to go home. And then from then, I just did it for fun. San Francisco wasn't a place of like you make it into a career. So I did it for fun, but I could never let it go. And my mom is super creative, and so she always allowed me to explore that. And I met a couple friends, and then I moved to LA with a friend, Sean Evaristo, and saw the world of the industry. And then I moved back to San Francisco in 3 months. I hated it. I saw like the scary things, and then in that time I was like, Ellen, you're gonna get into the scary things. Like I don't trust you. So I moved back in 3 months, and then I ended up I remember driving back home from LA to San Francisco, and I was like, Lord, am I making the right decision here? The next couple days, I got my first job to go teach in Norway with like a lot of my friends. Whoa. Like it was with Mari, Lyle, Gigi Torres. And I was like, oh, okay, thank you, God. Because it brought me back to me teaching my grandfather how to magic. I was like, oh, okay, I think maybe teaching is something I want to do. And so that's when I went to Norway, and that became my career.
So in this story, you mentioned God. Where was God before dance?
Excuse me, what? Where was it?
in dance. Yeah, I heard you talking about God. So I wanted to know when that relationship happened.
You know, it's really interesting. Ever since I was a little girl, I felt like I was super weird. Like I felt like there was something bigger than me. And like I had a dream one night that I was in this like school bus, and the earth it's on fire. And I'm just like, in the school bus, and I was like, that dream has always stayed with me. And then like the stereo would just turn on in the middle of the night. So I knew something spiritual always
This
was
was
there.
in your dream.
The speaker turning on the radio, that wasn't a dream. That was in real life.
Actually happened.
Yeah.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah. So always weird spiritual
we got
things
some
happen.
ties there. That's interesting.
Oh, wow, this podcast type. Because I don't get to talk about this. Wow. Okay. Interesting. So as a kid, I just knew there's something bigger, and I knew that there was a God. And I knew that it was this God that we're talking about. I don't know, because the feeling of home was always there, but so I always talked to this God, but I would be honest, when I went to church, I started Korean church, and that's when I was like, oh man, if these are people of God, like, is this a God I want to be around? So I got that mixed up.
What do you mean by that? Like,
was that church? Such bullies, dude.
Okay, so you didn't have a good church experience.
No, man. It was.
You know what that's like.
Yep.
We talked
Feeling
about that
different at church.
I was the different one.
Oh, we can talk about that too.
I was just the outcast. I was like the weirdo, and I was just like, okay. So if this is God, I think that I know. Then I don't know if I like this God. But then there was one person that really helped me through, and I was like, oh, okay, I had hope, because he got me through a lot. I would call him when I used to be like in all these like weird gang houses, like, and I remember calling him like, I'm so scared right now, I don't even know why I'm here, and he'll talk me through, and he talked to me when I was in the bus going home. He's like, just go home, and then so there was that one. Wow, that's cool. I didn't realize that. There was that one. But yeah, so I just knew that God existed. So I always talked to a God. And then today I know what, it's just,
So give us a timeline here. What year-ish time, like how old were you when you were like, okay, there is a God, and then you're where you're at now? Like, so how much time was that?
Oh, I would say I'm like, oh, there's weird things happening. I had that dream. I'm like, there is a God, and I feel like I'm super weird. Like I feel like I spiritually can feel things since birth, like since I can remember. So that would say like I was up to 24 like that. Well, I was okay. 14 like that. 14 is when I went to church and I was like, what?
14? Wow.
Yeah,
that was for me too. I got another story at 14, but
really?
You go.
I want to hurry because we got
yeah. We got
14. Calm down. Thank you.
Yes.
14 to 25. And then 25 is when I cursed God. I literally was like walking in the streets of SF on Fulton, if you guys know where that is. And I was taking the bus and I was like, I hate you. Like I screamed. I was like, I looked wild. But then that kind of makes sense in SF because everyone's pretty crazy. So I just looked normal. I was just screaming in the street.
I don't remember screaming people in SF.
No, that's just me. But that was when I cursed God. And I was like, you're not real. And I blamed everything on him. I used the F word on him. And then when that happened, I'm so sorry, God. I went to the Philippines and that changed my life. And God didn't condemn. He didn't judge. He didn't.
When was that?
When I was 25.
Okay.
So right when I said all this stuff, I went to the Philippines in a couple weeks after.
Why?
To go serve children.
Why?
Because I loved children, and I went through a really crazy car crash that I should have been dead. And I blamed God for it.
Whoa.
And then everyone around me just was, of course, my mom, everyone was upset. But I cursed God, went to Philippines in like a couple weeks. God just showed me, just wrecked me with so much love. I couldn't even understand it. I couldn't understand it. I still don't understand it. Just the amount of love he had. So I went there and I came back and I moved to LA.
Wait, was this a Philippines trip that Isaac was on?
Isaac. That's when
We're
Isaac.
gonna get Isaac.
Yo, shout out Isaac. We love you.
Yeah, we
we'll
love
see
you,
you
bro.
soon.
Yes.
You're now called out, so you have to be on the podcast.
We'll see you soon. Very soon.
That's why when I saw him walk in.
That was the first time y'all saw each other since then?
Isn't that crazy,
No
bro?
way.
Full circle.
How the freak does that happen?
That's what I was like.
How does that happen, bro?
That's crazy.
To give context, we do a regular Bible study out here in Los Angeles. Hopefully we'll see some of you guys there. And Isaac walked through the door the other day. So that's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
in their home.
In our home.
When I was on the way to your house, I remember he was just like, yo, is that Ellen Kim? We're going to Ellen Kim's out? I'm like, yeah. He's like, bro, I know her, man. And I'm like, really?
Dude, I can't wait to have Isaac on the pod because I have a personal encounter with my guy too.
Okay, let's
I met this dude in Korea, of all places.
Wow.
That I don't live in Korea, but like, hey.
So how many years went from like the trip to seeing Isaac?
25. And I'm not gonna tell you my age right now. Okay, well, it's like over.
Well, Ellen's 100 years old.
I'm 108.
Asian don't raisin.
I would say it's been over 10 years.
I can imagine somebody
It's about 10 years.
listening or watching it. They're like, when you say 25, they're like, wow, she looks great.
You saw him in the Philippines when you're one.
Legit.
1 year old.
We don't math over here.
We don't math.
I don't.
It don't even matter.
Our math ain't math.
But 10 years.
Okay.
And then, so 25, moved to LA with a suitcase and I had like an air mattress and everything. And that is when I explored God in the industry, but not really. I just knew he always existed. And then I would say it got real good when I met you.
What?
In Kinja's time. That podcast. That was when I went heavy to God.
Crazy, bro. Okay.
That was a year. So I think that was 20.
Wow.
What is that? When we met?
Sprinkling
2018.
seeds, man.
Yeah.
2018.
So 2018.
2018.
Wow.
So
which is when we started the Kinja's podcast. You were actually one of our earlier guests.
That was when I
had no idea what the freak we were doing.
First time in my life getting on my knees.
Whoa.
Because I was going through a divorce.
Whoa.
And then at that same time, right before divorce, I was going through tons of demon lock. So I was like, what is this? What's going on with me? And so that spiritual world I was feeling since as a kid was like coming full force in all ways. Wow. And then so I got on my knees on 2018. I let it all go. I surrendered. Saw you at the Kinja's podcast. I met him. And that's when it started getting pretty deep.
I'm learning stuff right now about, like, I mean, yeah, we've all been kind of building some cool stuff, which we'll get into eventually. But I'm learning. I didn't know this timeline either. And the podcast itself is a whole other thing. I'm like, I'm just going to take a leap of faith and start doing this talking thing. But then to go back to that episode in particular, which was, I believe that was actually the first time we ever really had a meaningful conversation. But it's by no accident that all of this stuff in your life was leading you up to a place where we were supposed to meet and talk. Because if we had a podcast maybe a year before, we wouldn't have had the same conversation.
No, not at all. Oh, no.
You know what I'm saying? But then the fact that, like, it was at that time, divorce, like the Philippines thing, going back to cursing God in the streets of SF, like all of that was leading up
to that moment.
And then here we are, which we'll get into. Like, we keep saying we're going to get into it. There's just too much road to cover. There's a lot of road to cover.
We'll figure it out. We'll get it there.
We might have to do like 5 episodes just to even get to where we're at today.
This could be like part 1
next season.
You know what I mean? And updates. You know what I mean? We can do updates.
Yes. That's why this is so exciting. It is so exciting.
Yes. What I would love to do. Okay. There's so much to dig in there, but
yes.
Mr. Vincent.
Yes, sir.
Vincent.
Hey, before we get into that's a great little pause, because this is good service. And so we have this concept with what we like to do with this particular. We all love food, man.
Yes.
So we have this thing called break bread, which we're going to get into. We're going to get into break bread and what this is. But I love that, like, so Kevin and I, which we had already spoken about when we were like, we're going to talk about doing a podcast. What are we going to call it? It has to have meaning. It has to have like something that we all vibe with in a real way. I met Kevin in real life at a networking event thing, but the next time we actually hung out was over a meal. Because Kevin was doing a lot of like food content. I'm like, bro, like you're just eating at all the bomb spots. And then so we're like, we should grab lunch sometime. So he invited me to a lunch, and it was at a Mediterranean spot. What was it? Do you remember the name of that spot?
Oh my goodness. I know who it is, but for some reason right now I can't remember.
Shout out Mediterranean food. We love it.
The entire nation
area of the Mediterranean
region.
Yes, the entire region.
Oh my God, I can't remember.
It's all good. We'll find it later. Yeah. But anyway, we connected over a meal, and then like we had like a super real conversation that day. And we went deep, and we revealed things about our lives and our past. We're like, whoa, this dude literally knows my entire life right now. All the ugly, dark parts. And then we shared both. And we're like, I think we just became best friends right now.
Yeah. Are we best friends?
Yes. Do we do karate in the basement? Yes.
That was our first date. we did the same thing.
It's like,
good and bad.
See? I love it. So anyway, we're like, man, so much good connection happens over a meal.
Yeah.
And what did Jesus do, man? Jesus broke bread with his disciples. And breaking bread is even a term that non-Christians use, and they know what that means. It's like, let's have a meal and let's connect. So when we were talking about doing this pod, we're like, okay, we want to do something that we like feel passionate about. Like, man, like we love eating, and eating often invites good conversation. So good service, we want to highlight food establishments that are like killing the game, kind of doing their thing. And today, man, I'm so excited. Look at my hat. I just came from something right now.
Yeah, we're gonna reveal.
We're gonna do the reveal. So today, good service provided by Love Hour.
Ooh.
Love Hour. Man, delicious smash burger concept. Just opened up recently in K-Town, Koreatown, Los Angeles. And shout out Mike Pack. I just met him for the first time tonight. Though he and I have been following each other on social media for a minute. For anybody who follows on IG at Koreatown, this dude has the handle at Koreatown. That is Mike Pack. And he blessed us with this meal today. This is our first blessed meal. So shout out Love Hour. Y'all, if you guys don't know, not only are we about to enjoy their bomb burgers, like follow this group. Follow Koreatown Run Club. Then for the runners out there, they got a run club that meets weekly. I committed to be like, yo, I'm gonna train with y'all for the next year to run the LA Marathon next year. So I'm gonna be training with Koreatown Run Club, and they're doing a lot of really, really, really dope work in the community. So we want to just highlight Koreatown, Love Hour, Koreatown Run Club. Follow them, man. This is really, really dope. So we're about to get into these dope smash burgers as we're gonna break bread.
Yeah. I love how raw this is, that like our guest went over and got paper towels for us.
That's how we do. That's how we do. This is real.
It's a good service.
And she's just tearing it up, bro. Like, you know what I mean?
The good service.
Yes, it's paper towels, not toilet paper. And
yes,
as we sit here,
And we each got half of it.
yes,
yeah,
we
it's the
share.
best. It's the best.
Budget.
So we're gonna open these burgers up. This is Love Hour, and just to give you guys a little context, when it comes to burgers, I am definitely somewhat of a burger snob, a little bit. One thing I didn't say on the podcast earlier, I also own a burger joint,
which we will be blessed by very soon.
we won't talk about it on this episode, but today we'll talk about Love Hour.
Yes.
Hey, shout out Mike. I haven't met you yet, but I'm gonna enjoy this.
We all about to be best friends right
All right,
now.
here we go. We're gonna do some ASMR right here. Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Look at these. So context also, this should be eaten hot. I picked them up about an hour ago, so forgive
Still
the
good.
temperature. It might not be quite. We're gonna be better about getting the food at the right temperature and enjoy it as it's supposed to be. But
Oh yeah, that's good.
Here, we'll share these fries right here.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
Mike, shout out! Thank you so much for blessing us with this meal.
All right.
Thank you, Mike.
We're gonna
As
enjoy.
we bite into
Yeah,
this,
we're gonna enjoy as we keep it going.
yes, as we continue to eat this delicious food, Vincent, please, I would love to know the journey of the CEO, singer, and just this beautiful man on the right. I would just love to know more about how the journey got you from Virginia. Yeah, Virginia, all the way to LA today, and let's learn more about that.
Yeah. So let's see where to start. I grew up in a house of music lovers. I'm the youngest of 6 kids, so
Of 6?
Yeah, the youngest of 6.
Okay.
And I absorbed a lot from each of them. So one of my siblings, or my oldest brother's musician, producer extraordinaire. So I just grew up loving music so much. My parents too. Another one of my siblings is like brilliant business person, strategy person, and I grew up playing Monopoly with him. I ended up actually loving strategy so much and the hustle because of Monopoly that I was hustling Pokemon cards.
Love it.
So that's the journey of my business life. I used to sell Dragon Ball Z drawings. I used to do a bunch of random things like that. And
Dude, that's wild, by the way.
Yeah. And then there was a certain point where I actually like felt like I didn't need to go to school anymore. I just wanted to start a business, and I love playing video games and games so much. So I would skip school and go to the mall and play Tekken and Street Fighter.
Yep.
Tekken 3.
Yep. Go to the PC bongs and play Counter-Strike. So I was skipping so much at that time, and I like trusted my hustle, and I ended up failing a year of school. Yeah.
Tight.
Not tight. But no, I failed a year of school, my sophomore year. And then after that, my dad at the time, he had this like really, I thought he was going to chew me out, right? Because Asian parents, but thankfully, I think I had a different set of parents that were just rooted in a lot of faith. Grew up Catholic. And I think also at that time, like, since I was the youngest of 6, all of the strictness was used up on all my older siblings. So anyways, my dad had this conversation with me, and he was just like, Vince, do what makes you happy and I'll support you. So, not something that a typical Asian parent would say after you fail a year of school. Anyways, after that, I started actually going to church quite a bit with my mom, because she's like hardcore prayer warrior. So I would go to church with her every Wednesday, every first Friday of the month, do like vigils and things like that. And that kind of just reset my spirit a little bit. So by the time I felt strong enough to go back into school, I ended up getting into music and getting into dance, actually.
What?
Yeah.
And dance.
I have no
So
idea.
many dancers.
Yeah.
So
I didn't know
many
you
dancers.
danced.
I used to try to.
He learned like Jozar's piece. They were in the same group.
Yeah. One of Jozar's first choreography.
You were dancing with Jozar?
Yeah, back in the
I saw it.
I show it to her like every month,
Yeah,
just
he
to prove.
He was just look.
In case you forgot.
Yeah.
How was he?
I
How
used
was
to
he?
dance.
He's good.
All right. You got
He can catch choreo.
I'm Filipino, so
It's in your blood. It's in your blood.
It's enough.
It's in
Hey,
your
did you see
blood.
that confidence y'all in his face?
Yeah.
He's like, I'm Filipino.
It's in me. I got it.
Yeah. Did y'all see that?
Yeah.
That's tight.
But yeah, so I got into music and the arts and dance back then, and did it enough that it like really fueled my soul. And I went from like failing the year of high school to getting a 4.0 GPA that year. And then that year, my dad, like, he took that newspaper, because in the county that I went to school in, like, they would print all the straight A students' names in the newspaper. Yeah, so he was like,
It's a small county. Huh?
yes,
Virginia.
it's Virginia. Yeah, Virginia.
Wow.
Anyway,
That's
so
interesting.
that was cool. And then I somehow made it into college. My GPA was like a 2.4, because a 4.0 and a 0 is like 2-ish. And when I got into college, I ended up failing college as well.
Did you have a major? Did you major?
You know, I thought that was a redemption story. I was waiting for the setup, bro.
And I failed again.
Yeah, I failed again.
Okay.
What did you major in?
I made first I majored in computer science, because I wanted to design video games and do stuff like that. But anyways, I ended up switching, because in my brain I was like, I don't want to be behind a computer all day. Fast forward to today, I'm behind a computer all day. But,
Sick.
so I switched my major for no reason. No. But then I switched it to marketing, and then I switched it to finance after that, which I don't use at all either. But it was a good experience. But while I was in college, I actually like really used that time to get into like student government or student organizations, the Filipino Club. I really enjoyed organizing like benefit shows at that time. Used to fly out like different dancers.
Not me or Ben.
Not yet. If I kept going.
You didn't know us. Don't worry, bro. I got your back.
Remember.
You didn't know us.
Yeah.
You were like,
I brought out
Virginia.
Kyle Hanagami in like June.
Oh,
and,
wow.
like, brought out like a bunch of the YouTubers from back then. So AJ, JR,
Yeah.
Jeremy, Gabe. Like I was
Yeah,
bringing them all
that
out.
was the OG days.
Yeah, super OG back in the days. And I would play shows as well. Like I would open up for all of them. So I thought I was going to do that, which is why I wasn't going to school or going to classes.
Right.
So I thought I was going to get into more like
There's a pattern.
music. Yeah. And then eventually I was able to graduate. And I thought I was going to do music at that time after I graduated, but student loans hit. So classic story. A classic story.
Yeah.
So anyways, I ended up just getting into corporate life for a while, and chasing money, trying to pay off my loans, kind of lost touch with the arts and the creative stuff. moved up to New York, got into tech startup world, which was an amazing opportunity. And in that time, like, I got to actually travel the world. So while I was traveling the world, while this tech startup is like booming, I went to India for the first time.
Wow.
And when I went to India, that was the first time I actually saw poverty. And that kind of like shook the way that I saw things. Like I saw people begging, and I saw like women with their children, like not having anything. And like the kind of stress that I had from just the way that I grew up and the things that I was like really reaching for. By the time I got back to my apartment in New York, I was kind of just like, what is all of this for? And, you know, what I also lost touch with while I was in college and when I graduated and got into my career was my faith. So this was just like, India just opened up a little bit. It opened up a little bit of like, man, something is not right. I've been in a different operating system and I need to figure out what is right. So I sold everything that I owned except for what I could fit into a suitcase. And I moved out of New York, went to Austin, just like floated around and couch surfed for like a solid 2 years. And then during that time, I was just like, I started rediscovering my faith. And then I also rediscovered music. I ended up in the Bay for a few. I always claim the Bay.
I'm just kidding. No hate.
I live in Fremont, which is East Bay technically, but I was only there
I'm
for
just
like,
kidding. I love Fremont.
you know, I was there for like 3-6 months. But anyways, I think like that experience, it helped me get closer to my parents because they were, while I was in college, another reason why I failed is because while I was in college, they left to go to San Diego. And I had no idea how to take care of myself because I'm like baby boy, and I had to like figure everything out. At that
Also,
time.
no, they left him with their house.
Yeah.
So you
I had to become a landlord.
Yeah.
Or
That's
like,
different.
Wow, how old
Learn
are
how-
you?
I was like 19.
Wow.
I mean, he's an adult.
Yeah.
But 19
19.
No, I'm
figuring
just
out-
kidding. I'm
to
just
make
kidding.
the mortgage.
Pay the mortgage.
Oh, okay.
Pay off
That's a lot.
school.
That's a lot.
You know, it's,
Wow, okay.
yeah.
Wow, that is a lot.
But I got to spend a lot of time after I moved down to San Diego with my parents, which was an amazing thing. It's like, that's when I really started reconnecting to my faith, honestly, and actually got back into music like properly. And then it was during that time also, like, I ended up starting my business. Fast forward a few years, that's when I met Ellen. And yeah, we were both kind of like in our faith journey. And I moved up to LA right around that time too. And yeah.
So there's a very romantic story here of how y'all actually met.
I would love to know that, actually.
Oh my gosh, can I tell it?
Please.
Start with a please.
Tell this whole thing in first person.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I'm just kidding.
Let's see. This is really good, by the way. I love it with the peppers.
Yeah, the
Peppers
peppercini.
give it a kick,
Yes.
a refreshing kick.
Yes, I agree.
So in 2018, I was the girl in his music video. And then, yeah, so I didn't even know him.
Yes.
Look at Ben's
Yeah.
laugh. That was the best, dude.
That is like the same year I went to the Kinge podcast.
Wow,
Yeah.
that was the same year.
All this,
Oh.
whoa, this is weird. This is all the
I
same
did
year.
not know that.
This is sick. Okay, that's cool. Okay, so I met him. I did the music video. When I met him to talk about the music video, it was in K-Town at Spot. And it was the director, our mutual friend, and it was him and his girlfriend. And I just remember the whole time, her name is Jang. I think she's so sick. Love her.
Shout out. We love you.
Shout out. Do your thing. But when I met them, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so cute together. I'm not even gonna go. I'm not, because at that time it was me with God on my knees. Like I did not.
Come on, let me ask you though. Just be honest.
Was I attracted?
Yes.
No.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying. Not like that. No.
I'm very confused
He's like,
by this
for
whole
real,
thing.
huh?
Yeah. Well, it's
He shouldn't be saying, dang, he had a girlfriend at the time.
that's what I'm saying.
Also, yes.
What?
It's like, dang, please. I was oozing Riz.
But real talk though,
Oozing Riz.
they got married and they didn't. So this is
That's
what's
true.
Oh
supposed
no,
to
but
be.
here's the
That's
thing
true,
though.
that's true.
I was so in my faith journey. Like I'm serious. Like I had dates with God. Like in the beginning of my divorce, I was going out and being ratchet, and then my mom was like, "How are you gonna do this with a child, Ellen? Like, can you come on, dude?" And then that struck a chord where I was like, you know what, you're right, because I can't. This is raw, right?
Nothing but.
Okay. I can't be coked out with a kid next to me.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the one of the lowest moment I had. One of it was cursing God. The other one was being coked out and looking at Kea. I'm like, what the am I doing right now?
Yeah.
Even though it was so broken, I get it. And my marriage was failing. And I was having night terrors like every night. That was still not okay, because that's never how I would want my kid to grow up.
Right.
So that time I was so with God, like literally drinking a whole bottle of wine with God. Like I just had dates. So I was watching a bunch of K-dramas by myself.
So was I.
Yeah, all sick,
So was I.
drinking wine. I remember I was watching Strong Girl Bongsu at that same year.
This is 2018.
18. And then I got so drunk. I drank the whole wine. I hate wine, by the way, too, but I just drank it because I'm trying to be like super adulty, and I think wine is adulty. But I hate it. I have to chase wine. You know?
You chase wine.
I chase wine with water because I'm like. But I remember one night I was like, one of my curtains, like the blinds were broken. I just grabbed the bottle and I was like, and it was like 1 a.m. I looked at in the sky. I was like, God, if there was a man out there, I wanted to be like that guy. He's a CEO and he's in entertainment. Like it's really cool. But I don't care. You know what? If I have to live as a single mom, I'm with that too. Just you and me all day.
Wow.
But anyways, before that, I met him 2018. Rewind. So I was on my faith journey. So when I saw him, it wasn't no diss on him. It was just like, oh my gosh, him and this girl are so cute together. They're like little singers, like they help each other.
To clarify, there is no diss. He was with somebody. So I mean, this is
Yeah,
very...
right? Yeah, no diss.
I was just kidding.
Yeah, they were
But
so...
I understood what you meant.
Yeah, no.
I understand what you meant.
I'm
I'm just kidding. I'm
Like
just
they
kidding.
were
I'm just
so
kidding.
like they're that couple that look like they helped each other so much in their musical careers because they're both singers.
Yeah.
So it was super like, oh, I'm excited for this music video, and then I did the music video, and then I got fleas from his music video shoot. Pissed. I was like,
You got fleas?
yeah, because the director was like, I need you to lay down on this downtown ground wood chip floor. And I'm like, dude, there's dogs that pee in there. He was like, I just need you to do it, Ellen. I need it for the shot, which he didn't use.
I'm in shock right now.
That's wild.
So I got fleas from his shoot. So I always remember him at that time. I'm like I hated that shoot, you know?
But you were associated with her fleas.
Yeah, you are, forever.
Yeah.
You know,
So I mean, so this is not the best setup. So
No.
I'm very curious now.
Yeah, this is getting really good.
So then, I see this. His story just pop. You know how when you watch stories, like people's ones like pop out when you just let it flow.
Right.
So his popped out, and it was like months after the music video, and then I'm like, you know, drinking wine with God, watching K-drama, talking to him in the middle of the night. I see this one story and I see this fan, like this, a ceiling fan and blinds, and he just writes something so sad.
It was a really emo post.
It was so emo that enough I felt it. I was like, well,
What did you
this
say?
guy's...
Do you remember what that was?
I don't remember.
It was
actually.
so emo. Like
It might have been song lyrics or something.
it was just depression. Like it was pretty sad.
Okay, yeah.
And I was like, I hope you're okay. And I was like, it's probably because maybe they broke up. But I was like, I hope you're okay. I think I was like, I'm praying for you or something like that. He was, oh, okay, thank you. And then the next time I see his story, he's like so happy. And I was like, oh, how are you doing? He's like, oh, good, we're back together. I'm like, amen, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Right? And then time passed. And then he kept commenting on my thoughty photos. Sorry, you know, I went through my face.
Interesting, Vincent.
And then
Riz.
Riz.
And I remember one being chili on a level 11 or something
Emojis, the chili emojis.
Chili emojis level on 10 or something. And I remember I was at Coachella at that time, and I was like, oh my gosh, this guy, he definitely broke up, you know? But he DM'd me. He was like, hey, can we actually meet? And I'm like, what for? He was like, creative direction. And I'm like, okay.
Creative
well,
direction.
I'm pretty busy.
It's a good line.
Yeah, it's a good line.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm pretty
Riz.
busy.
Riz.
If you message me in 2 weeks, I'll see you.
Yeah.
He messaged me in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say, sorry, in LA, that's different. Like, people don't follow up.
Yeah.
In my experience. So I was like, oh, he actually followed up. He literally was like, hey, it's 2 weeks. Can we meet? And I'm like, okay. And I said, okay, this date. And that time I went to the bar to meet him because I love live music. And right before I sat down, I was like, again? What is this for?
That was literally the first thing she said.
Yeah, I just wanted God.
Right.
I only wanted God.
Yeah.
Because also for me, dating was like, oh man, like I have to, whoever I date needs to meet Kaya one day. And I don't see anyone like wanting to court me good enough for her. And then that was my journey with God, seeing me as his daughter and being like, whoa, how come I don't value myself that way? Wow. So that was my journey. And that's why when I went there, I was like, is this for creative direction? Because I'm out. And he was like, no, yes. And then I was like, oh, my bad. Okay. So I sat down. Just like your story, we started talking. I was like, I'm a Jesus freak. He was like, oh, I love God too. And I was like, to the point of Illuminati, okay? Like, I believe everything. He was like, no, I get it. But we just started talking about everything, crying.
All of our traumas.
All the traumas.
Just everything.
And then that was different.
Wow.
Yeah.
Then I realized I went to go look at the Venmo. He paid me the same day of the music video. Thank you, sir, for being such a kind man. Look at that. Not 30 net day.
Good service.
Good service.
Hey.
Yeah.
So
Integrity.
Integrity.
Yes.
He paid me on like April 27. That means I met him April 27 for his music video. The day we went to the live jazz, April 27 next year.
Ooh, that's kind of cool.
Yo, are we about to release this April 27th?
So announcements.
But ain't that crazy?
That's
a
pretty
whole
sick.
year later.
Yeah. Wow.
And at that time, I'm going to be completely honest. Back in the days, in my, like before Kaya days, like the dance world is pretty crazy. Hollywood is crazy. Like, it doesn't really matter who has a boyfriend, who has a girlfriend. Everyone's just like dating each other. And with my walk with God, that's why when I saw them, I just respected their relationship. I didn't want anything. And I changed so much about love. It wasn't self-seeking. It wasn't because someone needed to fulfill my loneliness anymore. God filled that. You can judge all the way. I'm just being honest. Like, so that journey was really cool. And it was really cool because even while we were dating, we would pray for. I sat down one night at a bar in K-Town with him. We were just eating, and I was like, talk to me. Because I was also directing him. So
that part was still legit.
It's still legit.
You still wanted the creative direction.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So I was working on one of his songs,
okay.
and my job is to get them feeling their lyrics. All the artists I've worked with. So I was working on the song he wrote for her. And it was so funny because I'm like, as his girlfriend, still creative directing, and I was like, think about the first date. And he, like, in the middle of him performing for me, he starts bawling. And I feel his heart. And I'm like, oh, this is a lot of pain for him. So then we went to go eat. And I said, let's just talk about this. Like, I want to hear your pain. What happened between you two? We were just crying in the middle of this restaurant bar in K-Town, and we prayed for her. So we prayed for, and that's when I was like, man, I just love people. I mean, still no journey on that, right? Like, I'm not,
Yeah.
but that was the first time I really felt like I was pretty mature with my emotions.
Right.
Because I wasn't jealous of her. There was no need to be jealous for her. If anything, I was praying for her.
Yeah.
I could see the amount of hurt that they have from each other, and I just was like, let's pray for her. Because you are able to release like this. I'm not sure she is. So, yeah, I love Jang too, and I love everyone he's dated because it made him who he is.
Right.
So yeah, that was a long story.
That's beautiful. No, that's great.
Yeah.
There's so much. I knew bits and pieces of that story. I didn't know all those details, which is really fun to talk about in a space like this. You mentioned Illuminati. We'll get into that in another episode.
I'd rather just keep that whole thing out. Don't even watch none of the stuff we do. You know what I'm saying?
Clear, we ain't no Illuminati.
I'm just kidding. I don't even believe in all that stuff. Don't worry about that.
Save that for another episode. No, but man, no, there's so much.
What's funny is I heard that clear too. I was like,
yeah, I was like, let's address that real quick. No, but like, what a beautiful story, because that is so real and messy and just not like this perfect Disney love story.
Yeah, for sure.
But like, that's real life. And that's like that's legit our real life. Like that's our God stories like that too.
Yeah.
Yo, that was my K-drama. It wasn't Disney, it was K-drama.
That was K-drama. K-drama inspired. Yeah, you looking at the sliver of the window blinds with the bottle of wine.
Can I say something? Can I say something? Like, just listening to all of this, dude. Like, what's crazy is I'm listening to this and I don't know all the details. But what I realized, Ben, is as we've been doing this, just talking about our lives, and going back, like kind of doing the rewind, talking about our lives. What's been really beautiful in this season for me is God is allowing me to see God's blueprint on what He's been doing. And what's beautiful about that is there's something I gotta bring out so we can bring glory to God.
Yes.
And the glory that I saw in this story was that the abuse that you felt, right, with your stepfather, and I'm seeing that redeemed today.
Wow.
Because Vincent, as a stepfather to
Wow.
your daughter, is a beautiful relationship.
Yeah, you know what's crazy?
Yeah, you should tell that story too.
He kind of looks like my stepfather, which is wild. My mom was like, Ellen. And I was like, I know. And my sister was like, Ellen, I know. He met...
We went to go to San Francisco together. It's like one of our first like trips as a new family, actually. Me, Ellen, and Kaya. We went to San Francisco without any plans, just to kind of like be there.
He kind of forced it, which I really was thankful for because I don't like traveling.
Yeah.
He was like, we're gonna go.
Yeah. Actually, well, that might have been one of the first times Kaya was on a plane. But anyways, we got up to San Francisco and we were like, where should we eat dinner? We ended up
The last night.
the last night of our trip there. We ended up eating at Little Tokyo at this Japanese restaurant, randomly go into this grocery store, and then meet someone who was an old family friend, childhood friend who was connected to her stepfather.
Wow.
And her stepfather, she found out that he actually had cancer that night. And randomly, well, not even randomly, it's all God, right? We found out, and then we reached out to him, and we ended up getting to actually grab lunch with him the next day.
Before the flight.
Before the flight.
With Kaya.
With Kaya. So I got to meet him.
Wow.
I haven't seen him since I was 11.
Wow.
And Kaya was 4.
And he took me in when I was 4. And
That's
then
freaking crazy.
he got to meet my husband and my kid.
Yeah.
And then a couple months later, he called me because he knew he was gonna die.
Yeah.
And I was like, can I pray for you? Because he's super against it. And he said, yeah. So I was able to pray. And he cried. I've never seen him cry. He cried and he said, Vincent, take care of her because I didn't give her a good life. he was really abusive. And it's crazy because the 2018 year was the year I told you I was getting on my knees. Every night was with God. One night I said, God, show me what you want to see, want me to let go of. It was every night, dude. I was sobbing till 4 a.m. I would see the sunrise sometimes. One night it was him, Nobo. So I asked God, I'm going to lay here, Lord. Please show me what I need to release in my heart. And boom, the vision of him came. It's like, God, what do you want me to what do you want me to see? And there was this time where he took me in when I was 4. And then it was really beautiful because it was just me, my mom, and him. And we lived in Chinatown. My sister was raised by my grandparents. So by the time she went to San Francisco, it just went haywire. I don't think he was a stay-at-home dad. My mom made a business and he was really young. He was younger, not really young. So he had to take care of 2 girls. And she was so babied by my grandparents that it was such a different world for her and for him, and it became really abusive, and she never deserved that, but it was really bad. Extremely bad. He had a gun as well, and finally we told my mom that he was hitting us a lot. I would go to school with bruises and they would want to call the cops. I would cry. I'd be like, no, because I thought he was going to kill us or something. But when we told my mother that, I remember the night that she had to break up with him. And then he still really liked me because I was since 4 with him. I remember at 11, he invited me to his new apartment and I had to go to a birthday party. But then he was like, go take a shower. And I'm like, okay. I'm so afraid of him. So I took a shower. I still remember the amount of steam and the amount of nervousness because I don't know why I'm showering. And then he washed my clothes, so my clothes was kind of wet, so it was still hanging on the chair because it had to dry. He was like, well, go lay down in my bed. So I laid down. I still didn't know I was just whatever. And I just laid face down. And I just remember he just started putting lotion all over my body. And then when it got really close to my butt, something he stopped. I can feel he hesitated, and he goes, "You do the rest yourself." And I said, "Okay." And I just remember putting on my damp clothes. He made fried rice for me, and he dropped me off at the birthday party. And I remember my friend took a picture of me there, and I was super red, and I just had no idea what just happened. So that night when I was praying, I let go of all that, and I asked God, what do you want me to see? And he let me see that time again in that same apartment. And I was now zoomed out. I could see myself laying there. I could see Noble sitting there. And I could see this person, this being. And I said, I was right there with you. And then I was sobbing. And then that night, it was more about why do you think he may have done that? Look into his eyes, look into what maybe caused him to feel the pain. And I just started crying. I had this image of him trying to keep this big cross up with flames, and he's dripping sweat because he's full of pride. And that just made me have a heart for him. So I let it go. I let it all go. And a couple months later was all that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So by the time I was able to sit across from him with him and Kea, I didn't even have the hurt anymore.
It was love.
It was love.
Wow.
Wow.
Anyways,
Well,
but it was a beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful because Kea came into his life when she was 4.
Wow.
It is. It's really, really beautiful.
I mean, if that's not a redemption story, I don't know what is, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that, Ellen. We love you.
Thank you.
Wow, that's such a beautiful, only God can do something that complicated and complex and just messy and then just turn it into this beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Like when I see you with Kea, bro, it's like you're her dad, bro.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? And I know, of course, there's like other things that are involved that you guys are working through, and I see redemption even there.
Dude.
Like God's working in those spaces too, which you know we can get into or not. But I'm just saying, like, as your guys' friend in the past year, I've seen a lot of just the healing and the redemption in your guys' family.
Thank you.
And that's such a beautiful thing to be able to just witness and share alongside you guys. Because as somebody who doesn't have a family, kids and all that for myself, I'm looking at this as like, wow, like God, you can make like such beauty in like brokenness.
Yeah.
And like God is in the business of healing the broken.
Yeah.
1000%. That's what he does.
So true.
And then I'm seeing it happen in front of me, and it just gives me so much joy and hope for like if I ever get there in my life, that like, wow, I've had some really great models that I've seen like get through some really tough stuff. And that's like the beauty of community, you know, like why we all like need each other. And, you know, we'll get to this community that's kind of building, you know, right now in our midst. But no, I just wanted to, before we just sail away from these stories, like this is a beautiful story that you guys have. And you as individuals really inspire me. And especially in the past like month where we've just been in the ringer, you know, in the past month, but in the best way. And man, God wants this story out there. That's how I know why we're doing this podcast. And
I never have told and don't say that story.
And you know, I no, thank you for sharing that. I mean, that's a beautiful story. And what's awesome, like just to keep lingering on God's glory in all of this is that, like, when you were sharing and as I was listening and some of the experiences you had, there's so many stories out there that people identify with that pain, that identify with the journey, you know? And even as you step into the family, this blended story of being a blended family, it's a lot more common than I mean, it's sad to say, but it's way more common today than it was years ago. And what's crazy is I'm listening, and you said something early saying, I don't know why, but I was really connected to the spirit at a young age. And when you said that, and I'm like, I know why today. And the reason why is that when kids at a very young age, because I come from a broken home as well. So when you come from a broken home when you're young, when you look back to today, knowing how loving and wonderful God is, he sends his angels to you early. You know what I mean? I might not have had a father growing up, but my father was always with me up there. You know what I mean? And so when you shared that, as you were telling your story, I was like, I know why. Like, I know why she felt that. Because like for me, I felt the same thing. You know what I mean? So I was just like, so thank you for sharing that. I know this is like a very personal, a very powerful story in your lives. And I just love seeing where it's at today.
Amen.
You know, where there's this beautiful blended family. There's this beautiful, just so much blessing in our lives today of like what we're growing, the people around us. And hopefully as these stories are shared, as we keep doing this, it's just really coming back to, look, the world is a dark and scary place, but there's purpose. There's God. You know, and then there's a plan and there's a will. And I feel like this is just, man, I love this, man. I had no idea we were going to talk about this today. So I'm just like, this is like,
when we ask, like, what are we talking about? Or like,
right now, man.
I don't know, but I know.
But I know.
And I knew that it was going to be however it is right now. And that's the beautiful thing of this.
Do you guys remember when I was sitting over there the first time you guys walked into this room? I was just staring at all three of you guys. I think I started crying because my trauma, I have a huge thing with men, trauma with men. And that's why when I was sitting there looking at the three of you guys, my heart was so filled with love and safety. I had I'm finding that with him. He's my husband, finding that protection and safety. I will be honest, for the first time with men that are my friends, I'm feeling safety with you guys. I feel safe with you guys. I feel like a sister. And that's just showing me so much how God works, because I'm so afraid of men. Thank you. You guys bring a safe space. And Vincent has a crazy story about how he even thought of the idea of raising someone else's child when he's single and a singer and moved to LA. So I want to be able to.
Yeah, that alone is, I'm sure, something that you weren't expecting as a part of your story.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I was kind of like, I grew up prepared for this, it felt like. Because, like I said, youngest of 6 kids. One of my sisters is like the most bravest, boldest women that I know. And basically, she had a high school sweetheart. And me and him were really tight. Like we grew up watching like Dragon Ball Z together. Like he would go to like
brotherhood.
The anime store,
yeah,
and like get the Japanese with the English subtitles, Dragon Ball Z.
That's
like we were
stuff.
Tight, right?
Good stuff.
That's the legit way to consume it. By the way,
Yes,
exactly,
absolutely.
But he ended up, and my sister ended up going their separate ways because there was like a high school love kind of thing. Fast forward, she went through a few other relationships. He had a relationship as well. He got in some trouble, and later, as my sister was already like well into her adulthood, 6-figure job and all that sort of stuff, she received a letter in the mail, and it was a letter from New York State Penitentiary, and it was from her high school sweetheart who got into some trouble. He went to prison because he didn't want to, rat out his friends. And they ended up just writing letters back and forth to each other. And in that story, they fell in love with each other from writing letters.
Wow.
They deserve a movie with this story. And eventually, like, again, my mom being the prayer warrior, at first it was like, oh, what are you doing? Why would you do that when you're already like in this amazing space in your career? But it was her choice, and it was love. So she like went for it. And eventually my mom was like, I support you. And she ended up like praying for him every day, and then organizing the church community that she's a part of to pray for him as well. And going up and down from Virginia to New York with my sister, even to like spend time with him. Anyways, during that time period, so he actually had a daughter as well, and she was like 3 years old. And my sister ended up, I think she was 3 or 4, but she ended up getting to know her while he was locked up, and she ended up just taking care of her like she was her own. So man, that's what I grew up seeing. Like I grew up seeing like that ability to just care for and love like unconditionally. And she ended up adopting her, putting into her like piano classes, and like changing her life around. And God works like crazy, because I think it was that testimony, that witness, that like really prepared me for this stage, right? Because it's not an easy thing to step into a blended family with the excitement and the fervor and all of that. And I think it was just that upbringing of faith and like just seeing love and like the triumph from it too. Because after my brother-in-law got out, man, their bond is so beautiful, and they ended up having 2 kids themselves, and now they have business together. And he's like one of the top real estate firms, if not the top in the Northern Virginia area. So I saw that redemption story. I was like, man, that's crazy. Like sometimes God will just move you and you just gotta go. And that's what it felt like. After I met Kaya, it was like legit like 3 weeks into us dating.
Jeez.
He met everyone.
I met everybody.
Because we knew.
Yeah, we knew.
We knew.
We knew.
We knew.
We knew. So, yeah, I met.
Yo,
Kaya.
God knew.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Amen.
It was all by design.
Yeah.
It felt that way, right?
It's crazy.
Like, there's no way that I'd gone through what I went through in my life and learned what I learned, and vice versa, and all of that. It just made sense. Like, having faith allowed us to see God's perspective a little bit, and to see how puzzle pieces fit into place, and to like move forward in faith versus like move forward with our own kind of like desire and understanding. So I knew it would be hard,
Right.
and it's still, it still can be hard, right? But that's why we go to God so much together. But yeah, after 3 weeks, I met Kaya, I met her mom, her sister, her brother-in-law at Korean barbecue.
We were just dating. I came from his house to your podcast.
The fudge?
Yeah.
For real?
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's
We were
crazy.
just
Wow,
dating.
bro.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
and also let me just like bring up her father. Just ran back to like God's arms like a couple months ago, and it's been beautiful. Like I'm talking about messages. Him now, like he just came in the house yesterday just to hang out a little bit. Like
it's really nice.
It's just beautiful. Like I'm just like this. How is this real?
Wild.
But then he's like, I love God. I love the Lord. And I've been praying for him for like over 10 years.
Wow.
And just that, like, I don't know, just meaning like, God is so good. Like seeing them kick it, like be friends and like talk to each other and hug each other. And him coming in the house yesterday and we're just all hanging out.
It didn't start like that though.
No.
This was like, a solid 2-3 years of us kind of just being cordial. If
it was bad. Like even he wouldn't even do this, like hold my hand to like shake hands. Not at all. I sent him one video and I was like, yo, if you were ever a pastor, because he just knows I'm about to do weird stuff. I'm like, hey, just saying, if you were ever a pastor, yo, this guy reminds me of you. Like, you guys are so funny. And 2 weeks later, just like a couple months ago, he goes, thank you for sending me that video. I actually really liked it. From that day on, it's been like blended family.
Wow.
Yeah.
I even went to his house to go help clean, and because he just moved, we both went there to help clean his place.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bro, this doesn't happen.
No, it
You know
doesn't.
what I mean? Like, this
right.
doesn't happen, but it does.
But it
But-
does.
You know what I'm
But it
saying?
does,
Like,
but it does.
Like with God?
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, we're seeing, I'm hearing Jesus stories that are miraculous. Like every day these days.
Yeah.
That's a miracle story right there. Like that doesn't happen, but by the grace of God, God redeems. God's in the redemption business, and it's we had a previous episode about timing, God's timing of stuff. Like, sometimes it takes years for things to play themselves out, and those years can seem like, what's the point of this? Why is this still happening? Is this ever going to stop? And then we reach a point where we're like, whoa, were you doing this all along so that I was going to be ready for now this?
Yeah.
Like, that's God. you know, and so sometimes he moves slow, right? He takes his time. Sometimes he moves fast. And we are now in a season of fast. And I'm not talking about fasting because we just ate a bunch of burgers. I'm talking about moving fast.
Sorry there, we just had to take a quick break. We had to refresh some snacks. And Ben, let's get on to where you were getting to.
Yeah, you know, so we're talking about how God, you know, he has a very specific way of timing things out. Sometimes it takes years, sometimes it takes months, sometimes it happens within days and hours even. So we are in this space, and you were talking earlier about, you know, when you were sitting in the corner watching us just kind of move about this space, and then a lot of ideas were kind of coming to us. And I think they're they're way beyond just us being creative folks. Like, oh, what if we did this? What if we did that? Like, there was a specific conversation that you and I had a little over a month ago, and you felt that the Holy Spirit was prompting you to have some sort of like conversation with me. And so we hopped on a Zoom call, and then you were just like, hey, I want to hear like what's been going on in your life. So I kind of downloaded like this crazy weekend. I just came from this conference and I'm just lit in all kinds of ways. I'm like, yeah, I think I'm going to start this new podcast. And here we are.
Yo!
You know what I mean? Here we are. We're already going. And then you were like, whoa, okay, I have this thing that I need to share with you. And then you broke down this whole thing, Break Bread, this creative impact agency. And you felt like you wanted to build something for the kingdom, but you yourself being a creative, me being a creative, and us just being in a circle of people who are very uniquely talented and gifted in all these specific ways, where we're like, why don't we create something where we can band together, create a community, and then be a space where we can collaborate, partner, and do things in the respective fields that we are currently running in, but like do it with an intention, do it with for the case of impact. And things move very quickly, even from just that call, because then 2 days later we met at your guys' house where we just decided to break bread, eat some food, and then like I'm like, hey, can I invite my boy Tadashi, who I just met at this conference, who just happens to be this really dope rapper who like loves the Lord. And I was like, I'm just gonna take a shot in the dark. I'm gonna see if this guy wants to come to this. I told him, he's like, yeah, I'm down. It's just like, okay. So then we did that, but then we were just sharing testimonies. We were crying, and then, you know, week after week, just things have been growing. Then we you know, our boy Chang came through, and then was like, hey, why don't we start with the gospel? And then we're like, yes, thank you, Johnny, for reminding us why we're doing this in the first place. And then it became a Bible study that we're just like, let's just invite some of our friends to see if they want to come. And then just this past week, it was just like, it grew like 5x. I feel like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
actually 5x. Yeah.
And so I'm just like, something is happening very quickly. And so here we are. And I think and that's why I'm like, it's just, everything is coming together so organically. Even the fact that like we're like, okay, Kevin and I, we did a couple of episodes just us, but we're like, you know, we're gonna bring on guests, but like, you know, Break Bread is producing good service. Thank you, Break Bread. Produced by good service. Produced by Break Bread.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this, guys. Like, Ellen, if you want to kind of hop in and then give us brief, I mean, for the sake of time, I know we're kind of going a little bit long, but like, just give us this the background of what Break Bread is. But like, let's start with how it started, and then let's talk about where it's at today.
Okay. Where did it start?
Apparently 4 years ago.
That's what I'm saying.
4 years.
From what I just learned today.
In the making.
Yeah, I in my mind it's like 3, but I think it's 4. 4 years ago, Break Bread started. It birthed from God. The whole idea was to create events for nonprofits, to create impact, community, awareness. And where it really came from was the Bible, the verse of, you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day, but you teach him how to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime, which your brother linked us with. And we were just blown away. We're like, man, if we can live like that every day, just sharing and teaching, what a life.
Yeah.
And what a life it is for us. And we truly believe the ones that want that also just would live a very fulfilled, purposeful life. And then in those 4 years, once we started that, it became a journey to understand what that really meant.
Yeah.
So that's me creating content still and being in production and going through my own situation with mental health in that space, which is more like, we know it's spiritual. It really went into more, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about, for me and my experience as a creative in this space in LA, the pros and cons, and that both of them, especially the cons, really is birthing like the internal culture of break bread, the desire to want to build a safe community for creatives. So I will let you keep going with it.
I mean, that was spot on. I think
tight.
like,
You know what? It gets better every time. Every time.
that was probably the best time.
Yeah. I was thinking, I was like, wow.
There you go. You nailed it.
I don't really have much else to add to it. I mean, I think part of the reason why it took so long to get here is because it was trying to do it with our own knowledge and wisdom.
Right.
Yeah.
So over the last 3-4 years, it's been planting our roots deeper in faith and serving more and realizing that we can't control the outcome of anything. And it was really after that discipleship and the Bible study with Johnny of saying, we talked about for hours on like different ideas and things like that we can do. And his response was gospel first.
Right.
So it was just so quick and clear and to understand that like, okay, that makes sense. So, I think that's why we're here. We're walking together.
Yeah.
Wow.
Speaking of the timing thing, it's not like we just like, hey, we should go get a space now. You guys have had this. You guys have been sitting in this space.
You've had it
on this space for a minute, since November of 2022.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So I remember, Ellen, you hit me up.
Yeah.
And you were like, hey, you just wanted to kind of get my thoughts on some stuff, and then at the time, you were giving me the concept of this out of office co-working cafe, place for people to come in and find community and a place for people to congregate. But at that time you were like, this is what the idea is, but it's not like fully ready and dialed in for it to be a go.
Yeah.
And so you were like, you just kind of were seeking my thoughts. And then I was like, hey, I want to introduce you to my boy, Kevin, because I think he might have a lot of insight on this. And so then that's when I brought Kevin into the picture, and then we all started talking. And even then we weren't thinking like, hey, maybe we should create some creative impact. Nothing. It was just like, he was just trying to help you guys, trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And then let's fast forward a little bit to that time that we were here, and then you're sitting in the corner, we're here, and we're like, because we're like, Kevin and I are trying to start a podcast. We don't have a place to record it.
Yeah.
And then you guys were like, we got a spot you guys can use. We're like, what? And then we come over here, and they're like, well, you guys have just had this whole time.
Yeah.
And then it was all this like, you guys, we saw a lot of emotion in you guys, because a lot of history tied to even the emotional weight to what this place kind of represented for y'all, which we learned about. And then you were like, hey, this is your guys' home. Like, whatever you guys need, if this place can serve your guys' needs in some way, then like, it's just, it's your home. And we're like, wait, what? Now we have a home? Like, we don't gotta go find a podcast studio and then it all started like coming to us were like, wait, like, is this what this place was for? Like for Break Bread to have a home, to have a place where we can do Bible studies together, where we're going to open up our doors and people can just come in and like we can worship and learn, and in a free space where everybody can be authentically themselves with the questions that all of us really have. Like, so we're just like, dude, this is happening such on a macro scale that we don't even see it. We're still just like right here in this picture, but it's just all to say it's really cool that like, and then even you guys saying like, wow, like this is why we kept this space, and this is why we didn't move on whatever the concept you guys thought it was supposed to be, and then now it's like coming together clearly, and God is bringing in the companions to you guys, the right partners and the people who can complement y'all in your guys' vision, and then like it's crazy, man. I just came from a crazy other meeting before this, and I'm like, here we go. Things will just keep falling and keep falling and keep falling. And it's exciting. Yes, it's exciting, and it's okay to be excited. But this is not our thing. And that's why I also love the fact that we recognize that the Lord is building this thing, and whatever he wants it to be is what we are going to surrender and submit to. But that's why I'm so excited that this is going to be sick. Because if the Lord wants to build something, the Lord wants to build something, it's going to be crazy.
It's going to be we can't even, I can't even, you know?
Yeah.
Too creative. God is too creative.
Yes, absolutely.
Too
all
wise.
of that. And so, for the sake of time, man, we'll have you guys back. We're gonna do many more of these things.
We'll do an update on where the company's going.
Yes. Today was the origins of Break Bread.
Yes.
Like why, where, and why. It's the where and why. Where did it come from? Why are we doing this? And we're here to serve. We're here to serve. Good Service Podcast. We're here to serve.
You know, I just had an idea too. Maybe this isn't. I didn't even like talk this over with the Ben, but I'm just thinking out loud. Just if I could totally see Ellen and Vincent being regular guests once in a while.
Oh, I would love that.
So we just need more microphones.
Yeah, we just need more microphone. We need more microphone sponsors.
Sure. Yes, sir. 7B.
Just throwing that out there.
Hey, real talk. Y'all see what this thing looks like. Look at this. We got one microphone. This is how raw this is. This is how raw. And that's also why I'm so excited, because like look, we want to be good stewards and we want to be as excellent as possible. But this is a startup. We are going straight up startup, but we're not being like, hey, we're not ready yet because we don't have all the stuff yet. Let's wait till we have all the stuff. When it's God saying just go, and he'll provide what we need. And I really believe that. So I think what I'm excited to see is when we look back on these episodes, we're going to be like, damn, look at episode 1. Look at episode 2. Whoa, look at episode 10. Whoa, what the freak? Like, look at us now. Like, we're going to be able to track the progress of how God kept blessing it. Like, as we go. So this is straight up just documenting how God's going to just bless.
I love that.
Oh, we should vlog this whole thing separately too, man.
I'm telling you, man. That's why I was like, dude, we don't really need to just like have it all figured out, bro. We're just gonna figure it out as we go.
Yeah.
That's exactly what OO is too. We're just like, we want the community to go on this evolution ride with us. It's all testament. It's all a testament.
Yeah.
Dude, it's gonna be so sick.
It's about to be sick.
Because you know how we always see those like day 1 videos of a workout, and then you see like day 100. You know what would be really awesome is we should start some challenges with the community. Day 1, trust in the Lord.
Let's get it.
That would be amazing.
So we got some challenges coming for you guys. We got dude,
so many thoughts going in my head.
That's what we do, man. That's why we're here. And man, I love y'all. Straight up, for real.
Love you too.
Yeah,
I really love y'all, and God, we love you. And Amen. This is like, so when you're smack dab in the middle of like God's flow, there's just like no stopping you, dude. You know what I mean? And there's just so much like,
Amen,
just joy in that.
Yeah.
And that's what we hope we could share a little bit with whoever is watching or listening. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you so much. We want this thing to be big, not for our sake, but like, man, we want people to be encouraged. We want people to be blessed. This is not a Christian podcast. These are just a bunch of people who like love each other. We love God, and we also are trying to figure out life and trying to create. So it's just real life stuff. And it just so happens that we love Jesus because he loved us first. And so if that resonates with anybody out there, you hear these ugly, messy stories. And that's what it is. It's not this linear, like it started out here and then it just ended up there. Like, nah, it ebbs and flows. And that's really what life is. And so all four of us here have lived that life. So four of us have. Sure, there's other people out there that are also living that life. So this is here for y'all to encourage you guys. This is good service. Follow us on our socials, leave us a rating and review, and like and subscribe. Share it with your folks. We love y'all. We'll see you on the next one. Good service.
Peace.
We out.